All right, so big update for you guys. Given the explosive clash between the FBI and the DOJ over the Epstein files, President Trump has come out and dropped the hammer on the critics against Pam Bondi. Also, Democrats are visiting alligator Alcatraz trying to prove that it's inhumane, but there's only one problem. So we're going to get to both of these stories in this video, show you what both sides are saying, and then give you the bottom line.
President Trump clearly frustrated by all of this, trying to rein in this infighting as he issued a full-throated defense of his Attorney General Pamela Bondi. He writes, quote, "What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening." The president also went on to issue a directive to the FBI Director Kash Patel. He said he must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. The president went on to say, "Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great." Jessica.
And let me add on one more point that the president made in this message, because it's really long. But at the very end, he said, 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And definitely, if you read the comment section of that post on Truth Social, people are disagreeing with the president. They say, hey, listen, we love the job you're doing, Mr. President, but the fact that Jeffrey Epstein files must be made public. And the prosecution of these pedos must follow. This is a story that's not going to go away because we're talking about child sex trafficking. We're talking about pedophiles. People are not going to let that go. This is not the same thing as Signal Gate with Pete Hegseth. We're talking about children. And that's why I believe even though the president wants this to go away, it won't be going away anytime soon. Now, here's how MSDNC is reporting what's taking place today. Take a look.
A source tells NBC News, quote, "Bongino is out of control, furious. This destroyed his career. He is threatening to quit and torch Pam unless she is fired." Now, amid the fallout, FBI Director Kash Patel decided to weigh in. He posted on X that the conspiracy theories aren't true. And that's coming from someone who continuously spread conspiracies about Epstein before he was an official. And of course, let's not forget Patel, Bongino, and Bondi. All of them at one point actually wanted information on Epstein released and made very big promises.
All right, so number one, Megyn Kelly took to X to say this. "I'm sure it's a relief for Pam Bondi to hear the president is still in her corner. Unfortunately, huge swaths of the party are not. She's repeatedly misled on Epstein, then didn't have the courage to explain herself. Suddenly, she's camera shy, no questions allowed. Good luck." Phenomenal post by her. I totally agree with her on that, which leads me to point number two. The message from President Trump, albeit is fine, but I do disagree with the way that he ended it, which is that Jeffrey Epstein nobody cares about. That's wrong, because if nobody cared about it, why are we talking about it now? If nobody cared about it, why did Pam Bondi hype up the story? If nobody cared about it, then why did Dan Bongino and Kash Patel for many years say there was a cover-up?
Well, Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel feel like Bondi mishandled this entire thing from the start by overpromising and under-delivering, by intimating that she had the so-called client list on her desk and then backtracking on that. And then sort of, they're also upset because throughout this process, she sort of put the blame on the FBI and like forced the FBI to go back into its holdings and see what else it had. And so she directed Patel to put, hundreds of agents on this, pull them off from other duties, to pour over these files, only to have it be that they weren't going to release any more information anyway. And so they think that she has mishandled it from the start. She is upset because she is accusing them of leaking negative stories to conservative media. And so it's really an incredible situation because on the one hand, you have Bongino, who has basically all of Trump's base as his support, and Bondi does not have that support. But at the same time, you also have Trump's support for Bondi. So it's anybody's guess what's going to happen next.
Yeah, so I think it's once in every blue moon where I actually agree with something that's being said on MSDNC. And I think she hit the nail on the head. I mean, just imagine being Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and you witness the way Pam Bondi has handled this situation. They never did what she was doing. Now, they said that they were looking into the files because it was ordered by the Department of Justice to do so. Remember, the FBI reports to the Department of Justice. So we don't know what's really going to happen, as she stated there towards the end. I totally agree with that. But I'll tell you what, we want the president to be successful. We want him to help Americans trust our institutions again. And I think he can accomplish that if he does what we really want him to do with this whole Jeffrey Epstein case, even if there is nothing there. Had them hold a press conference and explain why they did what they did. That would go a long way, in my opinion. And now we move to our next story, and that is Democrats are now visiting alligator Alcatraz in Florida in an effort to not only diminish it, but claim that it's inhumane. But what's interesting, when they do the press conference to describe the facility, they actually prove that it's in tip-top shape. Take a look.
What we saw, the conditions that we saw inside this internment camp, which it is nothing less than that description, were really appalling. I'll walk you through just a few of the really egregious, disturbing, disgusting conditions. They are using cages. These detainees are living in cages. The pictures that you've seen don't do it justice. They are essentially packed into cages, wall-to-wall humans, 32 detainees per cage. That is the only thing inside those cages are their bunk beds, and there are 3 tiny toilets that are toilet units that have a sink attached to it.
Okay, so before we even react to what she had to say, I think it's obvious at this point that we're almost to 1 million subscribers. So thank you for the people who've been following me since the beginning. And if you're new here and you haven't done it yet, please subscribe at this point. Also, if you want to support us further, just go to the links in the description below. You could shop our merch store, buy us a cup of coffee, and also follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Okay, so if we pause right here, what she is describing would be a detention facility, not a hotel. Okay, that's number one. And number two, it would make sense that they would be in cages if that's the word you want to use. I mean, you can argue that a cell is a cage too, depending on how it was constructed. So I'm not finding the issue there. And number three, I know Democrats love to over-exaggerate, especially when it comes to their Trump derangement syndrome. So how much of what she said is truly a problem? That's what I really want to know. Now, based on the photos and the pictures and the videos, I don't see an issue with the facility. And what's interesting, when she was on MSDNC crying about the facility, they put up the images on the screen. You take a look.
So they essentially drink, they get their drinking water and they brush their teeth, where they poop in the same unit. They bragged that they went above standards, supposedly, and gave them a 3-foot privacy wall that stretches the length inside the 32 detainee cage, a 3-foot privacy wall that stretches the length of the 3 toilets.
Yeah, so why don't you guys let me know in the comment section if you believe those conditions are inhumane. I'm really curious to know your thoughts about it. Now, what's interesting, if Democrats are mad about this facility, then they're really going to be mad about what Kristi Noem said just this morning.
Facility, 1,000-bed facility can continue to be expanded. We're looking at other locations as well. We've had several other states that are actually using Alligator Alcatraz as a model for how they can partner with us as well.
What are some of those? Are there other states?
I'm having ongoing conversations with 5 other governors about facilities that they may have. You know, I haven't asked those governors if I can share their names, but announcements will be coming soon. As you all know, we need to double our capacity in detention beds because we need to facilitate getting people out of this country as fast as possible and to sustain our operations. But those governors have been fantastic. I will tell you, they are all Republicans. So I would challenge some Democrats to start taking care of your states, partner with us.
Okay, well, we know that Democrats are not going to partner with the Trump administration because their entire resistance is built on the idea that they have to be fighting against the Trump administration, and in some cases, be willing to get shot by ICE officials. Now, this takes us to the next update, and that is in regards to what's happening out of California, because we know federal judges are issuing orders against ICE officials, particularly temporary restraining orders. Let's hear more on that now.
Christina Coleman live in California, which has now become the epicenter of the immigration debate. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Alicia. Yes, a federal judge in L.A. issued a pair of temporary restraining orders against the Trump administration, including one that limits how and when ICE agents can detain migrants. She says they have been making apprehensions without reasonable suspicion, but the Trump administration strongly denies that.
What is a reasonable person supposed to think when I drive it as an agent in a marked unit in uniform? If I drive into a public parking lot and 4 people run off in the other direction, isn't it reasonable to believe that they're in the country illegally or they've done something wrong? That's what reasonable suspicion is.
LA Mayor Karen Bass announced a plan to provide direct cash assistance to people impacted by the raids. The mayor says philanthropic organizations will foot the bill and that the financial assistance will be distributed by immigrant rights groups. But this is getting major pushback. White House Deputy Director Stephen Miller says, quote, "It is a crime to furnish money to criminal aliens to facilitate their evasion of federal law enforcement."
You have illegal aliens, for example, who've been ordered removed by an immigration judge, who've received, frankly, an obscene amount of process over a period of years, more than any American citizen ever gets, that are defying that removal order, that are hiding out from ICE, and then you have the mayor of Los Angeles paying them to evade law enforcement.
I mean, what is more disturbing to you? A lower court judge issuing a temporary restraining order against ICE officials from doing their constitutional duty, or the fact that the mayor of Los Angeles is using taxpayer money to help illegal aliens avoid arrest? I mean, both of them are disturbing, clearly, but wow. I mean, talk about what the mayor is prioritizing: illegal aliens over the safety of her city. That's just the way that I see it. Now, here's the way Bernie Sanders sees this entire immigration argument, including border security, and what he thinks should happen moving forward.
What are you going to do as Democrats to address the legitimate concern about immigration and borders?
I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent.
Yes, I know, but you caucus with them. Yes, sorry.
But this is what I do think. Kerry is certainly right that you don't have a country without borders. If you have borders, you should enforce that border. Democrats have not done as good a job as they should, period. End of discussion. That's correct. But I will tell you something else. In this country right now, you have millions and millions of people who came from Latin America or wherever, who are working in meatpacking plants. They're harvesting crops. They've been in this country for years. They're law-abiding. They are paying taxes. And they are doing some of the most dangerous, underpaid work in America. So we have to deal with immigration broadly with comprehensive immigration reform. We have failed in that. Democrats, Republicans have failed in that for many, many years. We need right now to come up with some way to protect these workers who are maintaining the economy. Trump wants to throw them all out, fine. The price of food will double or triple.
Okay, so that's Bernie Sanders doing exactly what Democrats do. They're trying to make a case on amnesty. They're trying to make a case to get people who did it the wrong way a free pass. And I find that offensive for people who did it the right way. That's number one. Number two, Democrats and Republicans, which I definitely agree with him on, they don't want to fix this issue. They could care less about immigration reform. If they really cared, last year on that whole bill they said they were going to pass, they would have passed it. But see, it's not in their best interest politically, according to them, on truly fixing this issue. And that's just the bottom line to this story. Now, let's get to your guys' reaction in the comment section below. First, to what President Trump had to say. He wants us to drop it, leave it alone, and move on from Jeffrey Epstein. Do you agree with the president? Let me know, and why, in the comment section below. And secondly, what do you think about Democrats visiting Alligator Alcatraz, trying to prove that it's inhumane, but that it totally backfires? They prove that it's actually in great shape as a detention facility. Let me know your thoughts and everything in the comment section below. Now, in case you missed the story from yesterday, it was about how we even got here in the first place to people demanding the resignation of Pam Bondi. You had Charlie Kirk, Megyn Kelly, and other big media voices on stage at a Turning Point USA event yesterday, really calling her out for her incompetence. So if you missed out on the details, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.